Hello folks, we're back for our second tag, and this is the tag we're going to be making next. Isn't she cute? I love the name Daisy with the little spools. Super cute. Alright, so this is the same thing from your chipboard. You're cutting 4.5 by 2.5 piece. You're cutting a 4.25 by 2.25 piece. On the base of the 4.5 by 2.5, you're using the paper that we originally were using the front. Here we go. We just used this one here. We just cut out this section over here with the flowers. You're using the back of it, and this is a 4.5 by 2.5 piece. Okay, so try and cut the edges off, or try and cut this side off, the top half, so that you can leave some of that. All this extra paper is yours, that you can be playing with later on and doing some fun stuff with. So I like to leave all the flowers intact. Maybe you can use them again later. So that's that. The second layer for this one here comes from this paper here, and this is the leafy treetop paper. And I'd like you to cut the section out down here because we're going to be using some of this in some of our other tags in a few minutes, okay? So cut out this section right here, and that's 4.25 by 2.25. And what I did was I just traced the chipboard on top of there, and then you can cut that out. You can use your trimmer or you can use scissors, however you want to do that. Excuse me. The next two areas that you're going to be cutting out, this one here is from Mayflower piece of paper, and you're cutting out this section in here. And you can see the outlined edge that I made for you there in pen. And that's the section you're going to be cutting out. I'll have a still photo of that for you in a little bit. And then this section also, that little girl you're cutting out. So it stops there and it goes around to her hat and all the way around. And this is from the springtime sheet. We just used it because we cut the flower from there. We're using the other end now. We're cutting the little girl out. Okay, so the same thing. Cut those pieces out, come on back, and then we'll assemble everything all together. Folks, we're back, and we're going to be working once again on this tag here. So here we go. I have my pieces that I cut out, and this is the vine that I showed you that I cut. If you want to see that up close, those little. Now in the original I did cut this section out right here, and if you'd like to do that, you certainly can. And I will do that on camera for you so that you can see that what I did was I just cut right there. I went into there and then I cut this section out here. Okay. So that's what I did with that. Okay. Now I also cut the little girl out, and you can see that you will have a little section here that's going to get covered up by the spools. And I know her feet are cut off also. You won't notice those either. So let's start putting this together. Use your zip dry once again. Excuse me. The allergies are terrible. The springtime allergies are killing me. Springtime paper, springtime allergies. So here's the paper we're using. And you can use either side, doesn't matter, whichever color you'd like. And I put my zip dry on the chipboard. And this time I took out my tea dye stain, distress stain, that I'll be using to ink my edges. Last time I used the tumbled glass, and this time I'm just gonna use just give it a little ink all around the edges. Okay, glue the next one. And this is the 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. And here's the paper. Remember I told you to cut that section out there. We're using the flip side. And we can glue that one on to our chipboard. And ink that one up a little bit as well. You don't have to do a lot because you only see the very edge of it. Okay. So there's your 2 base chipboard pieces. Lay it on top of one another. And then your corrugated cardstock, which is 2 by 4 again. The size is 2 by 4. So you can layer these all up just like the last one. And then we'll start adding our small little decorations. Excuse me, get out of there. And I do have my glue gun heating up because sometimes I get impatient with gluing my pieces on. I want them to stick a little faster, so it's up to you if you want to get your glue gun up and ready. And once again, we're going to use our piece here, and you will have an extra little section left over that you can do another tag on your own. So once again, I'm going to line this up and kind of determine where I'm cutting. So I'm cut right about there, right at the end of that pearl. And I hate cutting through lace, but this time it's necessary. So that's going to sit right on top of there. And once again, this is all self-adhesive, which I love. Just peel and stick. Love those words, peel and stick. And there we go. So there's our base coming together nicely. Okay, so now we're going to add our leaf design that we cut out, and the bigger part of the flowers are going to be down at the right hand corner. So it's going to be stationed right about there. And once again, you want to play with your leaves a little bit and give them a little bit of life. Manipulate the paper a little bit. And I like doing this before I glue it down, because once it's glued down, it's kind of difficult sometimes. So kind of pinch it and move the paper around and kind of bend it a little bit and give it some life. And be careful up here because this is a delicate section with just that little stem kind of keeping it all together. Okay. And this is just about where it's going to sit. And I'm just going to use a little bit of zip dry. Actually, once again, I'm going to remove this little pearl. If you think there's something that's not allowing it to sit, there we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of zip dry just on the bigger flower sections because I want my leaves to be free and standing. I'll put one there, a little bit of glue there, and then a little bit of glue at the bottom as well. Okay, and while that's drying, we can work on a couple of other elements on our tag here. Okay, so we are going to work on now our little mini spools. You're going to receive 2 little mini spools in your kit. And you're also receiving some baker's twine. And what you're going to do is you're going to wind the twine around the spool, almost like it was filled with thread. And you can go down once. Sometimes I go back again. You have enough to do that if you'd like. And I leave off where I begin. So where I begin twining is where I leave off. And that's where I cut my twine. So I can glue that all in the back and you won't see it. And this is where the hot glue comes in. I just don't like sometimes waiting for the zip dry to dry that. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue there just to hold it. Hold it closed. And that's where it's going to be glued down to the card so you won't see that section. So here is the front that you'll see, and it's all wound up nicely with twine. So you're going to do that again with the next one. And I just start at the top. I hold a piece sticking out a little bit. And I wind it all the way around. Go all the way down. And I like going back up again. And cut a section off. And keep this section because we're going to use it for another tag. And there's where it crosses right there, those 2 pieces, the beginning and the end. And I'm just going to put a little dab of hot glue there, and that's going to hold that, and that's going to dry. And while that's drying, we can work on another section. In your kit, you will receive 2 little mini Melissa Francis frames. So you're going to take the mini one right now. I'm sorry, the bigger one. I'm going to take the bigger frame, put the other one aside, and on the paper that we use to cut out the little girl and the rose, what I did was I took my frame and I laid it on top of the daisy section here. And I kind of moved it around until I got an area of flowers that I really liked. And what I did was I kind of traced around there with a pencil or a pen so I knew what to cut out. So there's my oval right there that I'm cutting. And I'll go in and I'll cut that oval out. So I'm doing a messy cut first just so I can get it out of the paper section, so I'm not ruining the rest of the paper because I'll be using some of that again. And you're going to cut your oval out, and you don't have to be super neat about this because it's going behind the frame and you're not really gonna see it. All you want to make sure is that you don't see any edges of the paper sticking out. That's all. Okay? So what I did was I put just a little bit of glue on the frame edge right there. And I laid my paper on top. Make sure it's centered the way I like it. And you can now put that aside to dry as well. I'd flip it over so that the glue doesn't stick to whatever you set it down on. Okay, so we're getting our pieces together. In your kit you'll also have a little yellow butterfly, and you can pinch that in the center as well. Get that ready to go. So let's bring back our base here that's pretty well dried. And here's where the glue gun comes in, because I cannot stand waiting for my little spools to stick and dry with zip dry. So these should be pretty dry by now, the little spools with the twine that you put on them. And I'm just trimming some twine off. And one's going to sit down there. They're still not stuck. Okay. If yours is moving around like mine is, I can hit it with the glue gun. Now it won't move. Okay. So one spool, and if this little, sometimes little gems get in the way, we're going to be covering those up so you can take that one off. So one spool is going to sit there. Make sure you turn it over so you're not seeing where the twine meets. And I'm just trimming my little pieces off there in the back. And then this one I have turning upward like that. And I'm using my glue gun again to keep them, and I'm gluing right where I glued before, where the twine met in the back, and stick it down. And once again, there. Okay, so those are on there permanently. Now your little frame that you just did, we just made, is going to go up here. And this little gem and pearl may get in the way, so I'm going to pop these off. And this one is going to sit right up under the leaves there, right there like that. Okay, and you can certainly use your glue gun again. I will. And stick that little guy there. Now if you'd like to, what I did on my original here, you can see I stuck it down right there so that the leaf wasn't always flying around there. So if you'd like to, you can put a little dab of glue and stick that down as well. Okay. Alright, now our little girl is going to slide in her feet. I kind of cover the fact that they were chopped off a little bit, so I slid her right underneath here. And I put a little piece of foam tape on the back of her, just because I want her raised up a little bit. So there's a little piece of foam tape on the back there. And there she is. And I put my butterfly down, which sits right above her. And you can either use glue gun or zip dry, it's up to you. I don't know if there's any glue left to my glue gun. It's just enough to hold him. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to go back to that paper that you cut the word rose from. This paper here, remember this one here is Beautiful Blooms. We cut the word rose, and now we're going to cut the word daisy up in the corner there. I'm going to do it the same exact way. I'm going to trim it right across. Right across, cut that out, and now I can play with it a little better and get it nice and even. And I like using a long scissors for this so I can cut evenly, but you can use your trimmer if you want. Okay, so now I know that Daisy's going to be sitting in there, so I'll trim that back a little bit to fit. And once again, I'm going to do my little banner cut here, so I slice in the center and then I go from the corner to there, corner to there. I love these little banners. Kim, the owner of Eclectic Paperie, has taught me how to make these, and I've been a banner fiend ever since, making these little guys all over the place. I love them. Okay. And I'm going to glue that down. And this tag is almost done. Slid that right under there. Just make sure it's stuck. And there we go, folks. Isn't that beautiful? I love the dimension. I love the way it sits. I love the little girl with the daisy, like her name is Daisy. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is on the back we're going to put our twine, and I didn't show you the last tag, so I'll show you on this one. Cut a piece of twine, and this is, let's see, I can measure it exactly for you. It's about 11 inches long, and it could be a little shorter if you'd like. And what I did was on one end, I just put a knot, made a knot. The other end, I tied a knot. I folded it in half. It doesn't have to be exact. You can kind of leave one side longer than the other if you want. Okay, and then on the back of the tag, I used hot glue, which I need to refill right now. Mine's out. I used hot glue and I glued it right on the back like that, so that you had a couple of strands on the top that you could tie to something, a package or a gift. Okay? Other than that, folks, you have another tag all done and finished. Just one little quick note, on my original you'll see I added just a little bit of glitter there. On her dress, once again, I used the stickles, Ranger stickles. I used Stardust. I put a little bit on the edges of the spools and just a little bit on the end of her dress. And then I added 3 little pink pearls from the liquid pearls up at the top there. But if all you have is stickles, you can certainly use that instead. I add a little more liquid pearls here inside the flowers. And that's it, folks. Your second tag is all done. Okay, we'll be back with number 3.